it's something that I have to work on all the time.
It's been a bit of a collective effort, everything that we've done. So
it's not like I left all the ballads in a bag somewhere.
From the Verge Music Lab in Toronto.
Hey, this is Jen Grant.
I'm Chris from the band Next.
Hi, this is Jasmine from Mother Mother.
This is Live at the Verge.
It's time to make a new record. We were ready, and we were excited to get in the studio. So
music and conversation live from the studio floor.
I mean, we've all been around for a little while.
Plugging you into the artist. This is Live at the Verge.
It's a program called Live at the Verge. My name is Drew, alongside Kevin Drew. I'm going to say you guys are the musical collective of the world. Broken Social Scene. Good to see you.
Thank you. Great name.
So it's 2 EPs out. Let's try the After Volume 1 and 2. But take me back first to when, after Hug of Thunder, when you decided to get this project underway, because it takes a lot of time to round up the troops, to get everybody involved and on that same page.
Well, we recorded a lot of it during Hug of Thunder. We had to do the song selection to put together that record, and songs like Boyfriends, Wrong Line, Big Couches, Let's Try the After. They didn't make it onto Hug of Thunder. Obviously, you only have so much time, and we felt we had a wonderful album with what we chose to put on Hug of Thunder. So that sort of inspired us to go in and record Can't Find My Heart, because we wanted to do that. And we had a wonderful time out in Osheaga recording with Howard Billerman and this crew in this old bus that they had out there, this bus from the 70s, this old transit bus. And that's where 1972 was cut. All we really did was get Ariel to redo the vocals and really focus in on that. And we wanted to continue to play live, so we knew we should put out some sort of B-side, or then suddenly what we felt we made was a record. And then our label and our management really encouraged us to make it into 2 EPs to go with the times and just sort of put songs out and stretch it out. You got to stretch it out, Drew.
Let's elongate this.
You got to stretch.
But you talk about that backdrop of the music industry now, and how does Broken Social Scene approach that? Because when we had Brendan and Charles in talking about Hug of Thunder last time, they said that that they were just happy to make the music and get back together with the group.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. It's interesting. We just played 2 shows in Toronto, and I had a friend come in from out of town, and she was like, "You have a very much an older audience." And I said, "Well, that's why we do, and that's why it's hard for us to get into the game of social media, and we were very late on that, and embraced the streaming world and all that, because we sort of made our fan base throughout the last 20 years. And trying to cut through to the kids is difficult for us, but I think just in the idea of us all being together in creating these shows, we decided we wanted to keep playing. We wanted to squeeze one more year. Just get that wallet and squeeze it. And also, we love the music. There's so much music that we make, and we can't put it all out. So I think Let's Try the After was just an aspect of releasing things that we love, songs that we love, music that we wanted to get out there.
And it's about the theme as well, as like when you get to that point of after, and how do you navigate that? And now that you're here and looking at back now as the product of the 2 EPs are out, where do you stand now after these things are out? Is there that now in reinvestigation of what those projects are and what they mean now?
I thought that it was very interesting for me to watch as we unveiled in our own world, song by song, these 2 EPs. It did let us have moments for 2 hours a day whenever we released a tune, or it gave longevity to the idea of people are still interested in speaking about us and writing about us, which is more than you can ask for. On a spiritual level, I think musically we were just embracing the themes of what we live in right now. And Let's Try the After is a song that I wrote about Gord. I wrote about being next to someone you love and trying to figure out how to spend your time while they're going to the door. I looked at that through the glasses of so many of us and what we have to do in today's day and age. And when we were recording, we lost 3 fathers, 4 including Gord, over this process of Hug of Thunder and Let's Try the After. And the grief and the idea of loss and just the element of the suffocation of the times of now, the idea of how weaponized marketing has basically taken over our bedrooms, and the idea of how we're all in this together, but yet we're the status quo. We've all drank the Kool-Aid. We've all decided to become complacent in our ignorance of too much information. And I always get asked, or the band gets asked, and each person in this band has their own individual opinions, thoughts, talents, and it's this big group of people. And it's very difficult to keep it going, yet we still do it. But not without the little details that cause massive aggravation through miscommunication of all those who are working for us very hard to keep us alive, because we are 20 years in without any hits, without any singles that ever took off. We can't rely on a memory muscle that was embraced by the masses. We have to keep going out and finding reasons how to get those who have loved us and brought us into their lives to continue to do so. And I think the mantra of these 2 EPs was, there's got to be something after this. There just has to be. And I used to say, not to get too personal, but if you're not personal, there's no point. Vulnerability is the only way to live, even though it generally means you get the shit kicked out of you. But that's okay. That's the choice. That's the way to live. And I always wonder what's next. Always.
Big Couches made it onto volume 1 of the EP. Did it always, you said there was moments of Hug of Thunder songs being brought back to the forefront. Was Big Couches always in that mix?
We had we from Chicago 2009, when we worked with Johnny McIntyre out on Forgiveness Rock record, we came up with this thing called Spirit Purposes. So we would just set up instruments, and before we went to record anything that we had a notion for or we had plans for, we would just record Spirit Purposes, just these jams. And you fall into the thought pattern of first thought, best thought. And Big Couches sort of came from Spirit Purposes. It was just this jam that there's a few of us sitting around, and then we caught something, and then you build from there and you bring people on. I always thought there was going to be a woman singing it. I started singing it. We put it through auto-tune because we were laughing our heads off. And this song has been so divided by not only band members, but friends. We've played it to some people. Oh, I love this. Other people, you have to turn this off right now. And honestly, I've played it for some people I respect a lot, and they were just like, "This is terrible. You can't."
Wow.
But that is why you got to put it out.
Yeah.
Because those polar opinions, that's where the work is meaningful, I think. And this was just a love song about how you can lose people to the status quo.
Big Couches, Broken Social Scene, live at the Verge. Let's do it.
I can't seem to find the time.
Big Couch is live at the Verge. My name is Drew, alongside Kevin Drew, award-winning band, Broken Social Scene, back with 2 EPs. And it was great to see that, how for Record Day, I think they put it together.
Yeah.
So you could get, it was like a special thing.
Get it on
People
vinyl.
can still get that, though.
Yeah.
It's still available. That's great.
Yeah, I don't think we made a lot, but yeah, it's still out there. If people want it, we'll keep making vinyls.
So we got you did 2 sold-out shows, Toronto. We got upcoming residencies, Montreal, New York, Los Angeles. As you prepare for these sets, because your catalog, is pretty deep. So
everyone got together. We learned 42 songs. We decided to sort of go back into the pockets of what we've done, and because we're also playing for ourselves. That's very important, and we did just do 2 years of playing all over throughout these markets. We thought, with the new songs off the EP and then getting some old songs together, we compiled a massive list of 42 tunes, and it's a lot of memory muscle. It's a lot of just jump and see what happens. But everyone in this band has such extreme, in my opinion, has such extreme talent that it's amazing to see them just take off with it live and see if we can land it.
When you do see these songs that you revisit from the past, do you kind of see them now in a different lens, through a different lens, but also do you see them having that legacy when you first put them together? Did you see them that they would be a standalone track or be a soundscape to an experience?
It's interesting because I just said to someone the other day, I still feel when I play these things, we played Almost Crimes, a song off You Forgotten People, both nights when we were in Toronto, and I still play it as if it's being played for the first time. So looking back at a 20-year career and pulling out songs from that, it's actually quite exhilarating for everyone because they don't feel old. When you're within that musical moment together and you're looking around the room, it just feels as fresh as it did when we were doing it. And the only thing that I think really comes to my attention is how much we love the keys of D, G, and C, because I just thought, oh my God, we could put together a 32 set song list of songs. You mentioned the urgency before, and that's what I love in a lot of the music, is that for the idea of the times, we're still fighting. And that's what we were always trying to do.
The urgency comes from, experiencing life as it is, but also reacting. There's the ability to create change through lyrics. There's the ability to create change through your actions. And for the band itself, do you see a responsibility sometimes when you deliver these songs, dealing with this kind of cultural malaise sometimes? Does it feel like the action is being received? Do you feel it being reciprocated?
I do. When we're live, very much so. We're all in that room together, and the stage is just something we got to stand on to make the show happen. But we're all in that room, and I think that's something that everybody knows who've come to our shows and continue to come to our shows. I think you want to help people in life, and you want to get into philanthropy, and you want to give back. And as musicians, because there's so much narcissism and ego involved in what you do, you don't feel that that's something that does that, but it does. I certainly know it does it for me when I go to shows and I see bands I love. I am so grateful that I'm there to experience what they're performing and what they're giving to us in that moment. But I've always said everything's political, personal, and emotional, and you've got to go out there and you got to rip it off. You got to rip the Band-Aid off, and you got to just get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, and that's a lot of what these social scene shows are about. Yeah. And it's exhausting as you get older. There's a lot of conversations about backs and knees and shoulders and parents, a lot of parental talk now. There's a lot of kid talk earlier, and now let's kind of switch to the parent talk. How's everyone's health? How's everyone doing? Obviously, our crew, which is ever changing. It's a crew that we can only afford a certain amount. One guitar tech, a monitor person, a sound person, a tour manager. We don't have a lighting person. We don't have room to bring them out. And these people are basically working with with 3 bands in one. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot on them, and it's a lot on everyone, because you can't quite ever get what you need to be comfortable, what you need to, but you're all working to sort of make sure everyone has what they need. But with a list of that many people live, there's a lot of needs. So you try to come together and know that It's never really going to be perfect because it can't. And we're out here doing it so that we can be with people that want to hear about the struggle and feel something.
Kevin Drew from Broken Social Scene in the studio. We're talking all about the new EPs, and we'll get to some other tracks as well from the catalog of Broken Social Scene. Live at the Verge, let's do All I Want.
Summing up the balance of the child, chop down my foundation, break down the house around me like Samson on my head. I left something on the stove, didn't watch the drop of phone call to Toronto. I forgot to sterilize. All I wanna do, all I want is you. There's no protection from the law. Boy, you think you need it. J-Girl drops the needle to the bottom of the sea. I don't mend it all. I don't mend it all. Across the kitchen table, staggering and slow, summing up the violence of a child. Shut down my foundation, break down the house around me like Samson on the head. I left something on the stove, didn't watch the dropper fall, call to Toronto. I forgot to sterilize.
All I Want, live at the Verge. My name is Drew, alongside Kevin Drew from Broken Social Scene, award-winning band, back on tour with 2 EPs, and you're going to see them very soon doing a residency. Now, and having this be built into the touring cycle, do you feel now you have that ability to really invest in those spaces and the communities that you're in?
And change it up, make it a different show every time, which is a lot of fun for us.
This time around, is it how many members are kind of being brought, like number-wise?
I think we tour as 9, and then really we never know if sort of who's going to show up. Leslie showed up on Thursday night when we were playing in Toronto and stole the night. Ariel Engel and Leslie and Lisa Lobsinger, stunning. I mean, I could have just done the whole show behind the keyboard, listening and playing songs. And that's up to them. We always let people know when we're playing, and sometimes you don't know the last minute if they're going to show up. And the shows are great with them. The shows are great without them. The spirit of of who they are never leaves. And as I've said before many times, this is the success that has built Social Scene. Amy and Evan from Stars, and James and Emily from Metric, and Leslie Feist, and all these stories, Jason Collette, like the whole shabamo, the whole scene back in 2002, 2003. That's the funny thing about age. It doesn't stop.
No.
You can't stop it. You don't want to be a victim of it. Yet it's very difficult at times not to be. And I've definitely slipped into the negative vortex of what's happening to us, what's happening to me, why this, why not that. And in the end, it's just your enemy. But it's a realistic place to go and spend some time in for you to unpack the fact that there's no way you're going to be able to continue in that headspace. It's a battle for many, especially in the arts, especially in the middle class arts, because that's gone. That's dead, and everyone's trying to figure out how to make a living. And it's worrisome, and it's a constant conversation in my life now. Finances. How are we going to do finances? Finances. But you can't have that be the guiding force to what your hang is within that moment. You do need it to be for the full spiritual reason of why you did it in the first place, because you love to.
There was a time, and I talking about spaces and going into a space, and maybe going back to that theme of the after. And in 2017, Broken Social Scene, first band to play Manchester after the Manchester terrorist attack at the Ariana Grande concert. You guys are the first band back to play. I just wanted to know, like, what was that space going back into that, and looking at it now, 2 years out?
It was unexpected, obviously, and it involved a lot of young people, which struck such a huge chord amongst some members with kids. And I honestly turned to Johnny Marr, who, I will state this until the day I die, is just the most wonderful gentleman. And he was going to play with us, and then obviously was so upset about what had happened to his city that he pulled out, but we weren't sure if we were allowed to play or if it was safe to play. It was a strange moment because the city did continue the next day. What we were so honored to see was this city come together, and to go to the square and see everyone together. And I've told this story before, but my father came down. He was coming down on that trip. It was a short trip. And it was interesting because when we went to the venue and we talked to the promoters, and they said the show's a go, it can happen. We had to sort of sit there and ask each member if they wanted to perform. We only in the idea that we didn't know the risk or what was. There's always this fear of repeat that has to go through the system of how to move forward the next day. But it was great to have Pops there because he was kind of like the elder sitting in the room. And then it just turned into something where, Emily and Jimmy, who wrote Anthems for a 17-year-old Girl, were there. And we knew that if we were going to play, that was what we had to open with. And Emily was full on game to do that, to sing that. And I did call Johnny and say, look, we're gonna play this song. And an hour before the show, he reached out and said, I've got to do it. I've got to do that with you. And we had other friends come in, and we just sort of gathered together. And the crowd that night, and the city in general, was just so warm. And there was just so much sadness and love that it was something that we, obviously, as musicians, you don't ever want to be in that position, but you're eternally grateful that you can be a part of something like that you can play some music, look at people, and celebrate that you're there together, and get through something horrific, absolutely horrific. So that was Manchester.
We'll get to another track, and then we'll talk about more about some of the other songs here. We'll do 1972, live at the Verge, Broken Social Scene. 1972, live at the Verge. My name is Drew, alongside Broken Social Scene's very own Kevin Drew. And we got 2 EPs out. People should pick it up. There's a vinyl. Tour dates are happening right now as well. Check out the band when you can. We got Boyfriends coming up. This track, we talk about lyrical content, storytelling, and you know, sometimes that one line can generate imagery. In Boyfriends, it says, and they might need a pet, and they might need a mom. They're gonna
come with threats.
Come with threats about you staying young. I think there's a part about let's get you out of here, and that part to me, when I hear that, I'm like, we'll take you by the hand to get you out of this place. But the moment is not lost in terms of they can still help themselves out of that place.
Yes,
you know. So. For this, I don't know if I'm reaching here, but in terms of the music industry, in terms of misogyny, is that sort of something about these boyfriends and about that sort of that archetype, that framework? Is that worked in there?
Yeah, very much so, and very much through self-reflection. You know, I would be a fool to not say I've been a fool, and you know, so much that I've learned about sexism I was taught by realizing I was in the wrong, and I only say that in the idea I'm going to turn 43 this year. I've lived a long life, but in the times of now, I mean, I wrote this song back in 2014. When I say I wrote it, I mean I wrote it acoustically, lyrically. It was all finished, and we recorded something with it a while back. And this is another wonderful thing is that there was people in the band that really said, we really want to work, we really want to bring that song out, we really want to work on it, which is always wonderful because it means you have so many songs fall to the wayside because there's so many people writing. But yeah, I find that there's a lot of songwriters out there who are totally fucked up, but yet they come across with so much knowledge and stability within their music. And that's kind of like an epidemic a lot of the times. And that's kind of where that saying, don't meet your heroes, came from, because you bring people into your definition of who you are through music. And I think that the reflection has really taken a hit in the last many years. And that's something that people don't really spend much time with. They spend more time looking at what other people are doing or other things that are going on, or quite frankly, having the opportunity to express themselves, you know, through whatever they're doing on social media or Instagram, being heard.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's a wonderful thing, except all we're getting now is light back at us. And the eyes, the personal eyes, are what you need to look at. Boyfriends was written from a reflection. Let's get you out of here. You can't be doing this. And I think that there's a stereotype to the sadistic nature of men, and there's a stereotype to the idea of love and how to stay together and what you're supposed to be dealing with. And being in a band for me for the last 20 years, what's taken the biggest hit is my love life. But that's just the nature of how I chose and the decisions I made, and I got to get up and go to bed with that, and I do. A lot of songs are out there to try to save the individual or have the individual apologize for something, and I don't believe in that. I believe these songs are your reflections, and, you know, careful what you write about.
Kevin Drew, Broken Social Scene in the studio. We're going to get to the song now, Boyfriends, live at the Verge.
Keep lonesome out the open sky. But the night, no the night, say they write those letters where they're gonna die. But the night, no the night, and if I need a prayer, then I need a mom. They're gonna come in friends. They're not just staying young. Let's get you out of here. Let's get you out of here. This don't need my dear. Let's get you out of here. Try to release you from the golden sun. But the night, no the night, say they're gonna keep you from dramatic crimes. But the night, no the night, they're never coming this. Puke on your heart. They're gonna make you sick. It's gonna get real dark. Let's get you out of here. Let's get you out of here. There's no need, my dear. Let's get you out of here. Let's say don't wanna live in this. They don't know how to live in a living room. Where are the men? Where are the men?
Boyfriends, live at the Verge. My name is Drew alongside Kevin Drew, award-winning band, Broken Social Scene. 2 EPs out right now. Make sure you pick them up. Let's try the after.
Can I just say, I love how you always come back with award-winning band.
We got to make sure people, got to get that out there, right? But I also wanted to know, we're going to see any more plays, because you did a play, A&R
Yeah.
Angels, with Ben from Billy Talent,
Yes.
about writing that one song that would save the world.
Yes. Well, yes. I think that's the Bill and Ted's
Right.
plot line.
Yeah.
I read
One
that somewhere
song
and I thought, what?
To save them all.
Isn't that the new Bill? Yeah, I read
but-
that. I got bummed out.
But is there any other, are you working on those types of, in that world?
Yeah.
Again? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's lots of things coming down the pipes. Obviously, you got to execute them and make them happen. Everything that I have to do, and I think with a lot of people in this band, you have to put, you know, I've never really been handed anything that's full blown in motion and rolling. And here you go. We're going to pay you this, and we just want you to do that. You have to start everything from the ground up. I know that, you know, people are constantly working, and you have to keep working. This is not something that can sustain a living, being in this band, but it certainly has helped us out, and we're completely so grateful for all that we've been able to create and make and do and get houses and all the lifestyles that come with being in a band like this. Yeah. It's been wonderful. So, but you always need to keep voicing yourself in other ways and figuring out other ways to make money and,
like you said, finances.
Yeah. It's just a practical conversation we're having right
now.
But I've always got stuff going down. I mean, I can't speak for everybody else, but I know they're very busy, and there's projects that everyone sort of investigates, whether it's producing or soundtracks. JP's making medals now, Justin. He's all into these silver medals. It's incredible. And you know, Charlie Spearin's just always wondered, you know, he goes to book clubs. He's like making pottery now. It's to speak, you know, Brendan, Ariel, Andrew, David French, Evan Cranley, like all these people that we're on tour with right now, Amy Milan, you know, everyone that I can mention, Feisty, Jimmy, Emily. There's so much talent there. They're all they're just incredible. I mean, I still play my guitar because of these guys, like an 18-year-old, because there's just no room for me to learn, because they're so goddamn good.
That's the thing. I mean, that's something to highlight, is to surround yourself with the people that you would want to be inspired by.
Yeah.
Have those people around you. And it could be in bands, but also just in the workplace.
Yeah.
And in life. So
you got to have each other's backs, especially right now. You need, and you don't have to like them, but you have to love them.
Right.
That's what Andy Kim would always say to me. And he had one that I think is so for the times of now. Be still the mountain. I love that one.
The one that he did say when we caught up with him recently, he's like, and it actually makes sense now too, but like, you're only as good as your last 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
That's what
2 minutes and 30 seconds, which was the way of songs had to be in terms of the length. But I think that's still true now, that the time span is still about that time, 2:30.
You're only as good as the 2 hours that you were talked about. He would say, I would have him over a lot for bolognese. I have these bolognese. I used to have a lot of these bolognese nights. They've fallen to the wayside, but he would be, you're only as good as your last bolognese, Kevin. So
That's true. It's true.
God bless that man. Sorry, I got to say, having elders in your life as well, and having him, just, it keeps you afloat because they want you to drown. People love watching other people drown. It's a sport in our fanatic kind of way of voyeurism.
Yeah.
But these elders, they're not into it. They're into pulling you up. It's what I just love about that generation. 50 and up is just stunning to me, because it's all about picking up the person beside you. And I think that that's something that is not amongst the teenagers. I'm totally into the kids today. I believe when I'm around them, I just shut up and listen. The things that they are doing, especially with their fight for climate change right now, it's really, really educatingly blowing my mind. But the 20s and 30s, something missing there. And it definitely influences us, my generation. Did we fail? We'll see in the CNN documentaries.
So with Camp on My Heart here, and so we touched on the themes of let's try the after, and being in that space and analyzing and starting again and from a beginning point. Yeah. But there's also the times that you're analyzing the failures before and looking at how you can make them better. So the line that says, it's a matter of failure, it's a matter of fine, it's a matter of fine, it's a matter of you. And so let me take you there.
Let me take you home.
Yeah. When we talk about change makers, Andy Kim being one of them, Gord Downey being one of them.
The kids.
The
teenagers of today.
Being those change makers, change agents. This is what I'm drawn to here in these words, in these lines, because you being a lead, though, being a beacon of hope there in this time.
All of us, I think, though, I joke about Brendan earlier, like, But he kept us doing this, Brendan Canning, definitely. And I think about that a lot of the time when I'm on stage saying, what the hell am I doing here? I don't know how to answer that because there is an insecurity to being some sort of beacon of light. I feel like there's strength in numbers, and I always have. And I think it does take a village to move a mountain. And I do think we've become more and more individualized through weaponized marketing, through social media, through our obsession with ourselves and our obsession with others. But there really is an emotional suffocation to it that you can't quite put your finger on. There's a stress and a pressure to it that you can't quite put your finger on. And there's an unraveling that's happening all around us that you can't quite put your finger on. Yet we have to continue. Yet we have to keep going. Yet we have to have interactions, and we have to try to be better. Sometimes I think I failed with people more than I succeeded. Sometimes I feel like an imposter. Like, what am I doing up here? I'm so depressed, and yet I'm screaming like, let's go, believe in hope. But that's because you can't give up. And the whole element of suicide that has really become so prominent amongst our times right now, it is like an epidemic. And something does have to be done. And the only real route to go is to actually have your eyes open and look around you, as opposed to just looking at yourself through your phone. You know, I say reflection of a mirror and staring into your eyes because that's strength. That's only going to help you help the light that's around all the others. And there's a lot of darkness, and trust me, darkness gets attracted to me like fucking flies on shit at times. But that's my own lack of discipline that I have to battle with as an individual. I think it's okay to be alone. And I think it's also okay to try to find some sense of purpose within what you've surrounded yourself with.
I like that imagery. Let's get to this track, though, from Volume 2 of Let's Try the After. Can't Find My Heart, live at the Verge. Can't Find My Heart, live at the Verge. My name is Drew alongside Kevin Drew, Broken Social Scene. 2 EPs out right now. Make sure you also go back and look at other 5 albums there. Not everybody knows Broken Social Scene.
Yeah.
They're being introduced to them on these EPs. Is there a song that they should start with from Broken Social Scene's catalog that would best represent the band and the time?
From the whole catalog?
Yeah.
Oh, you bastard. That's tough for me because there's so many singers. Or maybe something like Almost Crimes.
Yeah.
That had the energy and the urgency and the element of what we were striving for. I think one of the things that's always confused people is when we have so many, Andrew, Brendan, Ariel, Amy, Les, Lisa, M, myself, a lot of singers. But I don't know. Maybe halfway home. I'm not sure.
No,
You've got me on that.
That's good. No. And then the other part to that question is the ending of albums and EPs. And I think I asked Charles and Brendan when they were here for Hug of Thunder if the song at the end closes that album, or is it the jumping off point for Broken Social Scene? Do you guys usually have that time that bookends albums?
Yes.
Close it off.
Yeah. I do. I do believe in that a lot. I was a huge fan of sequencing, and I loved doing it. And in my early 20s, I was graced with bands sending me their records or all through my 20s to sequence their albums. And I believe in beginnings and endings, and I believe starting with endings and ending with beginnings as well. It just depends on what you're trying to emulate within the feel. I know with Hug of Thunder, the way that ended was so strong that it felt as if that was, you're about to go into battle now. And with the last song on, let's say, the EP's Volume 2, so if you listen to it on vinyl, which is an A-side and a B-side, it sort of leaves you going into the after.
So some of the songs we played for this Live at the Verge, Forgiveness Rock record, 2010 release, we're going to wrap it up here with Art House Director. You guys were rehearsing for the Toronto shows.
Yes.
You're in the studio for, is it 7 days? You guys were rehearsing?
Yeah, it was 7 days. It was 3 days and then 4 days.
Okay.
And you were the 4th day, and then we did the shows. And so this is the brilliance of Broken Social Scene. It's like, grind yourself in the ground and go do the show.
Here we go.
Here we go, everybody.
I was picking up on your conducting of things, as the maestro.
Who, me?
Yeah, you in the studio. Of how
that might have been for show.
Maybe no, but there was times where you're like, okay, guys, we got to try this. We got to do this. Are you ready for it? Let's the good times here is good. You're conducting things there.
It's more like organizing.
Okay.
I just, because I do have the microphone right in front of me, I organize a lot, but I organize a lot in general. Conducting, no, everyone is their own conductor in that room. So I think, and also it depends on who actually knows the song. We're always looking to who knows the song the most. Mm-hmm. Sammy Goldberg, who's coming, who we picked up during Spirit If, my solo record, and he stayed with us ever since. And it's incredible he has, because he's really good at coming in, knowing the songs, and sometimes you say, okay, who's going to learn what? We get on conversations. We have 72 email chains, and people decide what they're going to learn. So it really is up to everyone to bring it. And sometimes I'm organizing it, sometimes canning, sometimes it just depends on who knows the song the best. So maybe that day, I think that day, because I booked this.
Yeah.
I figured out how to get, and you guys were so wonderful that you came to where we rehearsed. Yeah. So that it was, because it's just a lot to get everybody. It is herding cats. It's been herding cats for so long now, 20 years of doing that. So I just think, someone has to keep the spirits up to say we added an extra day just to get this, because it's important, because you've been so wonderful to us. You guys have played us, not only us, our friends. It's incredible, and it's trying times. So I know that you all know that here, and that you're big supporters of Canadian music, and it's huge. Obviously, I own a label. I see it. I see how it works. And this is the first time we did this with you guys.
Well, that's the thing. Taking people into the studio with Broken Social Scene is a treat, because, like you said, 20 years, and we haven't really caught up with you in the studio. We've done some other things, but this is it's been quite a treat. So thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Thank you for having us, and thanks for this interview. I hope hope he makes sense.
We're
I
gonna
hope
put
he
it
makes
together.
sense of it.
Makes sense. So we'll wrap it up with Art House Director, live at the Verge of Broken Social Scene, Kevin Drew. Thank you.
Thank you.
Art house director, we last magic light until tomorrow night. Art house director, let the waters part into an empty heart. This feels like a joke every step of the way. Even some on a coat, truth of the day. 2 feet deflector, rushes will not fly. I swear this is your guide. And the star is a harlot. She does not need the trailer. Thinks that you're the jailer, or someone not to later. It's feel like a joke every step of the way. Reading some other coat, the truth of the day. It feel like a joke every step of the way. Reading some other coat, the truth of the day. Canyon connector, purest protector. All the fun fell through. Can't escape the plume. And the starter is a harlot. She does not need a trailer. She says that you betrayed her with the surfer from Australia. It's feel like a joke every step of the way. Thinking some other coast, the truth of the day. Every step of the way, bringing some other coast, the truth of the day.
That's Live at the Verge. For videos from our sessions, visit The Verge online on YouTube.